Assemblyman McKeon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I move the bill.
Assemblyman McKeon moves the bill. Madam Clerk, please open the machine for a vote. Madam Clerk, please close the machine and take a tally.
Mr. Speaker, Senate Bill 287 has received 74 votes in the affirmative, 4 in the negative, and 0 abstentions.
Assembly Bill 287 has received 74 votes in the affirmative, 4 votes in the negative, and 0 abstentions. I declare the bill passed. That the bill take the usual course of passed bills. Bill on the clerk's.
Senator Greenstein, are you there?
I am here. Could you hear me?
I can. Very exciting to see you live, and thanks for all your good work. I hear also, my understanding is that congratulations are in order in connection with the concrete bill, which passed.
I know it. The timing couldn't be better because it just got signed, I think, on Monday.
Good stuff. So why don't we take a minute? Just what sort of sparked your interest in this area, and talk a second about the concrete bill, which is not what we're talking about today, but let's learn a little bit about that for half a second.
Well, I've been interested in environmental issues for a long time. So I was very glad that when I got to the Senate, I was able to be on the environmental committee. And I am always working on the different issues along with Senator Bob Smith. We're both into many of the major issues that are going on right now. And I think we're doing very important work in that committee for sure. I really only got onto the carbon concrete bill at the end of the last session. And, I was trying to think back of exactly what brought me onto the bill, and I'm not totally sure. There were others working on it at the time, and it wasn't moving forward. And it was near the end of the term, and I got on it, and I just had a general sense of what needed to be done, which was to get a lot of disparate parties on the same page. And we actually did it in the Senate, and we passed it through the Senate. And then we were in a new term, so we had to start all over again. And what the challenge was that, the building trades and groups like that had to be brought on board, and they were quite negative on the whole thing. But they finally did join us. We just had every type of group involved. They were among the most challenging. But what I did is before it went through, it wasn't moving through the assembly. And before it went through there, I decided I was going to try to get the governor's office on board. Usually you don't do it in that order. But what I did is I got the building trades guy to be in a meeting with me and the governor's office. And we hashed out the issues. And the governor's office said, well, if you get it to us, it looks like the bill is in pretty good shape and we think we're going to go through with it. Then we got the assembly on board, thanks to Assemblyman McKeon. I saw you had, I guess, the day it passed in his house, and then it went through. So it was a matter of taking a very long time, but still we were able to just bring all the groups on board with it. And, the goal of that legislation is to provide incentives. That was another issue. There were so many different approaches that were being looked at. The building trades didn't like some of the approaches, but they were okay with the incentive approach. So it provides incentives for New Jersey concrete manufacturers to adopt practices and technologies that lower their lifestyle greenhouse life cycle, I should say, greenhouse gas emissions. And it provides a corporation business tax credit to manufacturers who successfully produce and deliver concrete with reduced greenhouse gas emissions, and it's for public projects. Concrete, as some of you may know, is the most abundant and widespread building material, but it has the hidden cost of very high carbon emissions. And we produce 30 billion tons of it globally every year. The main binding ingredient in concrete is called Portland cement, which is produced through an extremely carbon intensive process. And believe it or not, that alone accounts for 7 to 8% of all global carbon emissions. So being able to do something about this project will really reduce the amount of carbon in the environment. We worked with stakeholders across the spectrum, from building and construction trades to environmental advocates to concrete manufacturers to develop a version of the bill that was workable for everyone. And I'm thrilled that it was just signed by the governor.
It's
By
great stuff.
encouraging,
Sorry.
yep,
Sorry to interrupt. I was just saying great stuff.
thank you, thank you. So it's an important bill. It will help decrease our carbon emissions. And I just want to thank all of the groups that were involved in it. And any support that any of you gave is also very appreciated. So,
Well, the group as a whole, I don't want to speak for everybody, of course, because there's hundreds of people, but the group as a whole are always interested in the issues that you're interested in. And so we'd be happy to champion them along with you to the extent you need people to show up and testify. So let's pivot from the concrete bill, which again was very important, and as noted, it provides an incentive. So it wasn't a stick, it's a carrot in order to incent people to operate in a particular way that they might not have otherwise operated.
and we'll have to see how it works. I hope it'll work.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of focus being put to bear on concrete. As you noted, that's one of the biggest materials that emit carbon that goes into the building. So you would think that the trades would be on board with things that would support kind of their workers and things that would support the environment. And so it's good that